I've been everywhere, man. I've crossed the UP fair, man. I've breathed that freezing air, man. Hi, this is Jim Islip with MSU Extension, and this is What's Up at UPREC on July 27, 2021. Today we'll visit with UPREC Station Director Dr. James D. Decker about a mechanical cultivation project on organic carrots.
Good morning. We are out today working on our carrot cultivation project. This is a partnership with Dr. Dan Brainerd from Michigan State University and Eric Gallant from the University of Maine. And it's funded by the USDA NIFA Organic Agriculture Research and Extension Initiative, or OREI. So this is a project that actually most of the work is occurring on commercial vegetable farms, small vegetable farms throughout Michigan and Maine. But we had an opportunity to join in on a sort of quasi-research, quasi-commercial status here at the North Farm. And it's nice because we have the ability to do a little bit more on the research side, like replicating the trial as they are on campus, but also get that real practical applied experience like the commercial farmers are and have the opportunity to interact with commercial growers that are doing similar things. This project is focused on mechanical weed control. And so the farmers that are participating, including the North Farm, are getting to borrow some new cultivation tools to see how they might help to improve efficacy or efficiency of weed management in their organic vegetable crops. The tools range all the way from hand tools designed for weed management from a company called TerraTech to kind of mid-scale systems like we're using today, the Power Ox from Tillmore and some of the tools that come with that, all the way up to more traditional tractor-mounted cultivation tools like basket weeders or finger weeders that you would mount on a cultivating tractor or even on a three-point hitch perhaps. So we have storage carrots that have been planted in this field, and the variety is Bolero. They were planted just almost exactly 2 weeks ago. They are largely emerged and in the cotyledon stage at this point, and we've got some weeds that have emerged as well that we're going to try to control today between row weeds with some vegetable knives, or also referred to as beet knives, on the Power Ox, and we'll show you what that looks like in a second. In addition to the mechanical tools themselves, this is really sort of a systems experiment in that we're looking at all these other things, these other variables that come into play and may contribute to weed management or lack thereof. At the North Farm in the past, the way that we've done carrots is we precede our storage carrots with a buckwheat cover crop. We terminate that cover crop, and then we do a stale seed bed with rotary tillage and flame weeding. And so what we've done is that half of these plots were flame weeded prior to cultivation, and half of them were not. So we sort of have stacked treatments in here where we'll get to see the combined effects of the flaming and the cultivation, or the single effects of one or the other, depending on what plot we're talking about. The carrots were seeded, as I said, 2 weeks ago. After planting, we irrigate to try to get the carrots to germinate evenly. And 6 days after planting, before the carrots emerge, we flame weeded. And now we're another week out, so the carrots are mostly up. The weeds are coming, and that's when we're going to do our first pass for between row cultivation. Then once the carrots get a little bit more established and have 2 or 3 true leaves, we're going to come in with our in-row tool, and that's a finger weeder that we can show you later as well. That's set up on a separate toolbar. These beds have 3 rows of carrots on a 13-inch spacing. They are mostly flat beds here for the trial, but you can see in the rest of our field that we normally do carrots on more raised beds, and so a little bit of a change to try to accommodate the cultivation tool, because we were concerned, some of our early testing, it really seemed like the Power Ox, because it's got fairly narrow tires, might sink down in and make it difficult to control the depth of our cultivation tools when we're riding up on the bed. Everything outside of the trial, in the carrots anyway, was flame weeded, And today, if you take a close look, I'm doing weed counts, and it's very apparent that the flame weeding was great for controlling some of our early broadleaf weeds that emerged, namely pigweed, lamb's quarter. And you can see when we compare the plots as we're doing our counts today, way more pigweed and even grass weeds in the unflamed plots. Many fewer weeds in the flame weeded plots. And also, you know, we are getting a new flush, but those weeds are much smaller because they've emerged after the flaming, and therefore should be less competitive with the crop and easier for us to control with the cultivation tools as well. So one of the important tasks that we have in this trial is tracking the crop and the weeds in terms of their density and also to some extent their growth stage based on height. So here we are in a plot that did not get flame weeded, and this is our quadrat. We have 3 of these per plot that we use for our counts. And so we'd go down first. I'm going to count the crop, so you can see the carrots down the middle there. And then we go through and we count our most predominant broadleaf weed, which in this field happens to be pigweed. So there's one inside the quadrat right there, but you can see a few just outside as well. And you can see in this plot that wasn't flamed, we've got some pigweed that are, you know, pretty good size here. We're also tracking grass weeds just generally, not by species, so we'll count grass weeds as well. Most of the carrots are up and they're, you know, caught a lead into coming on the first true leaf, but we do have some that are a little bit later emerging that are just coming up, so there's probably a few more that will pop up as we come along. But that's an unflamed plot that you can get a sense of the weeds there. Let's look at one that we flame weeded. So here we are in another plot that was flame weeded a week after the carrots were planted, and you can see that there's still a few weeds in there, but in general there's fewer broadleaf weeds, maybe even a few less grass weeds, and for sure the weeds that are there have come up after flaming, so they're a lot smaller. That's a lamb's quarter, pigweed, you know, in the 1/4 inch range in terms of height versus being much larger like we saw in the ones that emerged with the carrots that in the beds that weren't flamed.
That's what's up at Uprec. Hope to see you again next time.
Well, I'm so glad I'm living in the old